Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Thursday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers lose in Vegas to the Mavs. And when exactly is LeBron planning to return? All that next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one, it's always going to be available for you, never hidden behind some sort of nasty paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 36,000 subscribers to the channel, all of whom are just tapping their feet and their watches and wondering and checking the calendar for when the real games begin, because the Lakers are playing too many preseason games. They lose 121-94 in the second night of a back-to-back. Yes, I said the second night of a back-to-back, Andy, in the preseason. And one more game that will be hopefully a dress rehearsal coming on.
No, it is. There's no hopefully. It is.
It is set to be a dress rehearsal.
JJ,
everybody's got to be able between now and that game on Friday. Nobody's got to tweak something or.
Well, I don't think they're going to. Assuming nobody hurts themselves getting out of the car, I don't think. If I had to guess, the Lakers are not going to practice after back-to-backs. I just want to make it clear. JJ said after this game that per Jovan Buha, the ramp up, that the Lakers will use Friday's preseason finale against Sacramento as a dress rehearsal with their full healthy rotation. He said the Lakers will likely have a similar rotation in Dallas tonight. Many of the rotation playing deep into the third, early fourth quarter. So again, assuming nobody manages to hurt themselves between late Wednesday evening and Friday, the difference being, just to be clear,
I'm just saying, like that was where I was going, but like the assuming we got to get there and nothing, we haven't been able to see any dress rehearsals or anything close to it or any level really of continuity throughout the preseason. So nothing is guaranteed, I think, in this world. And we will also, so we'll talk about what happened on Wednesday night in this game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And of course, an update on LeBron James and his potential timeline via Shams from ESPN when LeBron is targeting a return and what that means for the Lakers. All right, so game 5 of 6, 121-94, the Lakers lose. A lot of folks sitting on the sidelines. Basically, the crew who didn't play on Tuesday were back in the game on Wednesday, but the crew who did play on Tuesday were sitting out. So no Jake LaRavia, obviously no LeBron, no Deandre Ayton, no DeMarcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart, no Luka, no Austin Reaves, and then no Bronny, who tweaked an ankle in Tuesday's game. He probably would have played on Wednesday, but for the injury. And so the Lakers starting in this game, Andy, Rui, Jared Vanderbilt, Jaxson Hayes, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect. There was some good stuff in this game, some good performances, but overall, hard to take a lot forward from it.
I mean, the Lakers, I thought, in the first half played reasonably well, especially considering they were playing against Dallas's actual team.
Correct.
In terms of who's actually available. And they played, I thought, pretty well in the first half, particularly in the first quarter. Gabe Vincent got off to an absolutely scorching start. He was 5 for 5 from behind the arc to get going. He had 5 threes in the first quarter. It was a very front-loaded, or really front first quarter loaded 22 points that he finished with, 6 of 15, 6 of 11 from behind the arc, 3 assists. But it was more of, I've talked about this a lot during the preseason. we've seen a lot of sharp Gabe Vincent in the preseason, often playing a role that I don't think he will actually be playing in the regular season. So how they find the balance between this on-ball version of Gabe Vincent and what I think will be more of his role with all hands on deck, or all hands outside of LeBron, maybe, because that's going to be a little bit longer. That remains to be seen, but all Gabe can do is a good job with this role, and he has been. Jaxson Hayes, I thought, had a really nice night. 12 points, 10 rebounds, 5 on the offensive glass, 4 assists, and a stock. Jaxson, I thought, actually did, particularly in the first half, a lot of really good work moving the ball, sometimes even when it wasn't just for an assist, but just helping keeping things going. He had an incredible grab of a lob from Gabe Vincent that was way too high, even for Jaxson Hayes. And he managed to corral this thing and kind of, wouldn't say dunk it, but kind of rattle it through the basket. And then we'll talk more about him. Jared Vanderbilt, I thought, was he only played in the first half because he had a quad contusion that Mike Trudell said during the Spectrum Sportsnet broadcast. Not serious, just took a knee from Derek Lively and precaution. It's the preseason, but 5 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, plus 12. He was the only Laker in the plus part of the plus minus period. But there was a lot going on for Vando in this game that, again, extension of what has been a very, very good preseason for Vando.
Yeah, it certainly helped if you wanted to finish with a plus in this game to not play in the second half. Lakers outscored by
Heady
11.
move by Vando.
Yeah, well, Derek Lively, I need you to knee me in the quads. I don't
just say anymore. It's worse than it actually is.
So, well, you still got to sustain the contact. You got to stage the injury, if nothing else. But the Lakers outscored by 11 in the third quarter, which looked downright good compared to being outscored by 29 in the fourth quarter. So, I liked a lot of that. I mean, Rui, he finished with 19 points. Interestingly enough, only one bucket of his 9 coming from beyond the arc. The rest of that is putting the ball on the floor, some mid-range jumpers, kind of seeing the variety in what he's capable of doing. And so, they're going to need Rui's offense. Gabe Vincent putting in 22. You're not going to need a lot of that. You do like the way he's been shooting over the course of the preseason. That's obviously something, the catch and shoot game and all that kind of stuff is something that is going to be critically important. He'll be relied on maybe do a little bit more facilitating an organization with that second unit than he might have otherwise, just because the Lakers went from 3 ball handlers that could really rotate through the game to 2. And so, we'll see. But what Rui was doing offensively is going to be really important. Like this stretch without LeBron, he and Deandre Ayton more than anyone, I think, on this roster. Austin was already going to be dependent on to give you, 18 to 20 a night. Maybe slightly more than that, man. I like 18 to 20 a night. So it was like 19. you could say 19. But there's a difference. Rui and Ayton have much more space to bump up what your expected output would be in a lineup with LeBron getting 25 points a night. Those two guys have both the space and the offensive ability to really pick up, an extra 12, 15 points between them.
I mean, my main rationale for wanting to move Rui to the bench in terms of what really is about Rui is one of the big factors was if he was playing in a lineup with Luka and LeBron and Austin and DeAndre Ayton, I think he's going to get lost in that shuffle a lot when it comes to his own shots and his own opportunities. We saw last year, I don't think Rui got enough shots, often playing alongside Jaxson Hayes. And Jaxson is nowhere close to the overall offensive player that DeAndre Ayton is. Like, you don't look to run things through Hayes. You will at times through Ayton, like this is an opportunity because Rui is going to start for the foreseeable future. I'd be stunned if it was any way else. This is at least more of an opportunity for guys to look for Rui just to have those opportunities. And to your point, he's been he's been showing off a lot of 3-level scoring in this preseason in ways that have been impressive.
So it's a really good opportunity for him, especially in this contract year. Still need the rebounding, still need some defensive activity, but he's going to get a chance to really excel in the thing that he is best at. And so we'll keep an eye on what that looks like going forward. Who else looked good and who in particular did not? We'll tell you that next, in addition to the LeBron timeline. So stick around for that.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season in full swing. FanDuel's making sure you're ready for every kickoff of the can't miss offer right now. New customers, you bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love that FanDuel fits however you want to bet, whether you're talking player props, same game parlay, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. If you're someone who has a feel for how a game is going to shake out, you can get ahead of those results with a little wager. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching the team that you love in real life or you're just keeping an eye on a fantasy lineup. So you're ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
So totally agree with you about Jared Vanderbilt's activities. Just he is a guy who needs to be healthy to be the best version of himself because, he's an NBA basketball player. I'm not going to say he's unskilled, but the athleticism is really key to him being able to be the best version of himself. His skill set is not going to overcome losing some of the benefit that comes from being able to really defend and move in the way that he needs to be able to rebound for the Lakers and all that kind of stuff. All of that is related to his health. Speaking of health, Andy, we did get an update on LeBron James. It is not wildly different than what you and I have been kind of laying out as our best guess. So if you've been listening to the show over the last week or so, since the announcement, I think we're all kind of on the right track here. So we'll get to LeBron in a second. I do want to mention Dalton connected another really bad game. I mean, he had the box score doesn't look terrible in the sense he grabbed a couple rebounds. He managed to put up a few assists on a night, especially in the second half where the Lakers had like 11 points. So I don't want to say he did
8 rebounds, 7 assists. That's I just make it clear because a few people could think it's like 3 or 4,
1 or 2, sure. But overall, particularly in the first half, when the Lakers had their best players on the floor, best players available to them, and particularly when it comes to shooting and defense, it was not good. I don't think. I mean, the shooting was still off. A couple very obvious defensive misses. To the eye test watching on TV. He's deep in it, and he's followed up a bad summer with a bad preseason.
Yeah, there was a stretch in the second quarter of this game where Dalton made a few really good plays in a row as a guy getting to the line. He set up Rui really well on a curl that he was running to get Rui a basket. He had a steal. Like there was like 3 or 4 minutes where I thought Dalton looked very comfortable when he was out there. But the majority of the game, I agree with you. Like he was working, and I'm not going to say he was entirely unproductive because again, he was,
8 rebounds, 7 assists. Right.
Well, and also too, I mean, we can't have this both ways with Dalton where we say that he needs to do things other than scoring in order to show that he can be on the floor. And then he does some of the other things and say, what about the scoring? You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that we are.
That is true. But I do think it's also fair to say that first and foremost, he needs to be able to make shots. Sure. Particularly 3-pointers, and he was 1 of 9 from 3-point range.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing that he has not followed up. I guess it was game 3 of the preseason where he played his best. He has not parlayed that into any sustainable momentum, and he's had opportunities. I think it probably helps him to be out there with, Luka and Austin, and eventually LeBron, even a guy like Marcus Smart, who's a good ball mover. Like, the more guys that are out there who can help Dalton when he's not manufacturing his own shot, get the cleanest looks, Dalton will benefit from that. But at the same time, like, if he wants to be, and if the Lakers want him to be a big part of the second unit, he's going to have to be able to handle some of the times when he's out there without the Lakers' best players. And it's just very all over the place with Dalton. It's not consistent. Vando, however, though, really looked good in this game. I'm seeing from DV to you any update on Vando, the quad contusion. It was described by Mike Trudell during the second half of the Spectrum Sportsnet broadcast as not particularly serious. I think it was just cautionary. He did play after it happened. He didn't immediately leave the game. Vando in particular, one area that I thought he just excelled with was grabbing and going with defensive rebounds. And that ability to get the offense going off those rebounds, I think I've been a proponent of Vando starting ahead of Marcus Smart, all things being equal. But one of the reasons specifically with Vando is he's a better rebounder than Marcus Smart. I don't think he's a better playmaker than Smart, but he's got a good enough handle and a good enough just floor sense to get the offense started, and in particular get it started quickly. And for the goal that JJ's talked about just having a quicker offense that's moving with more expediency, the ability to grab and go those rebounds and just get things going is something that Marcus Smart can't do as well as Vando.
Yeah, and you don't want Vando trying to do point guard imitations and stuff like that, but like the Lakers go too slowly, too often. Just pushing the ball up floor. It's not about running necessarily. Sometimes it's just about urgency to give yourself an extra 3 or 4 seconds of the shot clock to work with that you might not otherwise have, and run your sets and run your actions and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, like the idea that you have another guy who can, grab a rebound and is comfortable enough to put the ball on the floor, take a few dribbles and go. You already have Luka's incredible hit ahead ability. AR, who is a good rebounder for his size, obviously has that as well. The more stuff that you can do as the Lakers to put yourself in a position to get the ball up the floor, I think there's certainly no harm in it. And I just Marcus Smart really probably hasn't played enough, I think, to drop him in the starting lineup at this point. He'll play on Friday, assuming again everybody is able to, nothing weird happens between now and Friday. He'll be part of that dress rehearsal. I just don't think he's done enough in the preseason to where you would really comfortably put him in the starting lineup over Jared Vanderbilt. Now, obviously they have, they could do some stuff and manipulate it so both of those guys start, but that's not as comfortable a fit. You're not taking Rui Hachimura out of the starting lineup at this point. I think in the wake of the LeBron injury, Rui is, I think, very firmly placed in that starting lineup. So, it's not worth force feeding it. It's not worth trying to overextend Smart potentially at the beginning of the season. The one preseason game Smart played, he played 20 minutes and didn't take a shot. So, like, they need him. Somebody's sent us a text or a tweet at Cam Brothers, like basically asking if he's kind of washed at this point, or saying that he was. I think it's too early, obviously, to say, but the guy has had 2 injury stacked seasons in a row. He is
so is Vando, though.
So is Vando, right? And so, but if Vando was nursing an injury, I'd be just as cautious.
Sure, absolutely.
And so, you have Smart in a situation where, he will not be an effective player on this team at 65 or 75%, because he's not a good enough offensive player. He's not going to provide you enough outside shooting and all that kind of stuff. You need him to be able to be, 80%, 85% of what he was defensively a few seasons ago at his best. You don't need him to be DPOY level, because he can be less than that and still provide a big boost for the Lakers and an improvement over what they had. But he can't be 60%.
No,
he's got to be able to go.
The last thing I wanted to add to with what we were talking about with Vando and that ability to grab and go, it's not just the idea of complementing, say, like the hit ahead stuff that Luka can do, LeBron can do, Austin to a lesser extent. It's also too just the idea of another wrinkle that allows Luka and, for the time being, Austin to get up court, to get into attack positions without having to bring the ball up. Like Vando actually just gives you an ability to just lessen that burden on those guys through,
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing in his way.
Right, like 10 or 15% of possessions less, or even 10%. Like, it adds up over the course of the year. And just the ability for those guys to receive the ball in an attack position, like on the move, as opposed to having to put themselves in position with the ball, it makes a difference. So I think, again,
sure.
I'm not looking for Vando to be the primary guy bringing the ball up. I'm just thinking it's another wrinkle.
And Vando it goes from, that looks kind of cool to, okay, that's a little too much.
Sure. Again, you pick your spots, but I think it's a viable spot. It's
part of his skill set. He can put the ball on the floor a little bit. And if he doesn't try to overdo it, then it works. And Derek Malfoy asks, has a comment on the YouTube's page, LMAO, and we waved Jordan Goodwin for Smart, SMH. That means shaking my head, Andy. I actually want to talk about that comment next. We'll do, but we'll obviously bring you the LeBron news as well. So all of that coming up.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is awesome, but getting your home ready for guests and celebrations, that can feel like a lot. Maybe your serveware needs a refresh, or the guest room could use new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready, from Christmas trees to wreaths to bedding to cookware, outdoor inflatables. It's your one-stop shop for every house in the room or everything outside the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection for every style and budget, and with free and easy delivery. Even with the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. The delivery is also fast and free, which is a lifesaver during the busy time of the year. So it's one less thing to stress about while, again, you're getting your house ready for people. And you can enjoy the holidays with friends and family, again, without having dealt with all that stress. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Locked on Lakers is also brought to you by Game Time. Basketball season is officially here. If nothing screams that like 5 of 6 preseason games. But nothing beats being in the arena for these opening games when the real stuff starts next week. But we all know that, especially locally, getting tickets can be a real headache. The Lakers, tough ticket to get. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, prices that jump around right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated. But all you want to do is get in the building and cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's the ultimate hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I know in our family, my kids are big soccer people. They love LAFC. They love Angel City. And so we are always using Game Time to find good seats at a good price, checking out every time there's a home game. Hey, let's see what we can get. How, what is the price that we can get into the building? Where can we sit? All of that stuff is made abundantly clear on the Game Time app, and you know exactly what your fees are going to be, or sorry, what your prices are going to be. You're not going to pay extra fees at the end, and you can see where your seats are going to be. So no surprises at all. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets for whatever sport, particularly the NBA, with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right. So LeBron, according to Shams, is looking at mid-November, which is more or less what we had talked about. That takes it somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 games.
It actually, if you went at the most literal version of Shams's report, mid-November for a return, the Lakers play a game on November 15th. So the perfect midpoint of November, and that would mean 14 games. If he returned exactly in the most mid part of mid-November, that would be 14 games.
And so I had said, if you could get him on the floor before a quarter of the season was over, that would be, in my mind, a win. Anything 20 and fewer, I think is good. The earliest he would be evaluated in this timeline is right around Halloween. And then because he has essentially been out since late July when he injured his back in an on-court workout, he needs 3 or 3.5 weeks of ramp up to be able to put himself into a good enough physical condition to be able to play, because this is not an injury that you can train through when you're dealing with this kind of sciatica, this sort of nerve pain. It's not like you have a broken wrist where you can be on the treadmill and running and doing all these other things. LeBron can't do much. So once he's cleared to go, there's a pretty long ramp up process here, because he missed all of camp and all of the last month before camp started. They obviously can't rush it.
Yeah, the way Shams phrased it, there was an element of, it's not just the conditioning piece of this, it's the basketball piece of this. Like, as Shams noted in his report, like, he hurt himself during an on-court workout, either in late July or early August, and he hasn't really done any basketball since then. So it's not just a matter of getting his wind and his legs under him. It's a matter of getting like basketball timing and rhythm and all that stuff back as well. So there's a lot going on before you even factor the whole LeBron will be a month from turning 41, entering season 23 with 1 billion miles on the odometer thing. So obviously it helps the Lakers to get LeBron as back as humanly possible. But the idea of LeBron coming back too early, then suffering a setback, then the Lakers really start becoming screwed. Like, as much as I do believe that Luka and Austin and like the best version of Deandre Ayton, the best version of Rui Hachimura, like, if everybody else stays healthy and plays at the top of their game, combined with the fact that the Lakers' opening schedule is not brutally difficult, I think they can survive, or even
they've got
thrive.
some win. At the very least, they've got enough appearances from some teams that you don't expect to be very good. There are a lot of really challenging games in that first 20, but you can't, especially
it's not a murderer's
if you're a Western Conference team, it's hard to put 15 games together that don't include 9 good teams. That's just the reality.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but by Western Conference standards, their opening part of their schedule is not brutally difficult. It's all relative, but it could be a hell of a lot worse than it actually is. So I think there is a more than decent chance that the Lakers could, at minimum, survive this period without LeBron, possibly even thrive. But if you start talking about 40 or 50 games because LeBron has a setback, that starts becoming a massive burden on Luka, although it also sets the stage for Luka to win MVP. So
there you go. And it changes the where the Lakers land. Like, I don't think it pushes them out of the playoffs. If Luka is healthy and playing at a really high level, he is good enough, to kind of pull the Lakers Giannis style, to use an Eastern Conference comparison. And I think the Lakers have more depth than the Bucks do. Granted, the Bucks play in a much easier conference, so maybe that balances it out. But it's it's a weird moment that we're in the West right now, and really across the NBA, because there are a bunch of little injuries and guys who are going to be missing, the beginning of the season, and a couple weeks here, and so one little shift in who's available when can have a massive difference. We've already seen what's going to happen to the Rockets. No Fred VanVleet. For a lot of people, that knocked them down a tier. Lakers, super excited about that for a little while until LeBron became a casualty of this. And that realistically knocks the Lakers back down a tier to where maybe you're not thinking of them as a potential challenge for a 3 seed if all goes well, or a 4 seed if things sort of play to people's expectations. But now you're thinking 4, 5, 6, something like that. Okay, well, without LeBron for maybe 20 games, 15 or 20 games, 5, 6 becomes much more realistic. The margin between, what was it last year, 3 and 9, I think, was 3 games. And so it's, it just doesn't take much in the conference to juggle these teams around. And so it doesn't mean that the Lakers are appreciably terrible or something like that just because LeBron can't play. But I do think it moves them lower. Like, the Warriors were phenomenal with Jimmy Butler in the lineup last year. The team they're trotting back out on the floor was great when they were intact last year. But, Butler's already nursing an ankle. Does anybody really think that team is going to stay together all season long? Are you confident the Clippers are going to keep Kawhi on the floor all season long? And we'll have to wait and see. So
this is where you hope that, remember how last year all of the plus minus and the advanced numbers showed that the Lakers were worse with LeBron on the court. And we talked about how there's a lot of noise in those numbers, context, statistical anomalies, yada, yada, yada. This is where you hope it's real. Just because maybe it means that the Lakers actually can just kick serious ass during this period without LeBron. And then they
look great. They look great in the first half on Wednesday, playing without LeBron and Luka and Reaves and Ayton. Maybe they're better without all of those guys.
I mean, look, I did not think that it would only take to preseason game 5 for Gabe Vincent to make Luka expendable, but here we are. Yeah.
You might have to attach a pick or two to get rid of Luka, but let's see what we can do here. All right. We'll see. The Lakers, after back-to-back, likely certainly to take it easy on Thursday ahead of the final preseason game coming on Friday, and then a weekend of practice before they play again on Tuesday. So we're getting real close, folks. We're less than a week away from the start of the regular season. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 36,000 subscribers to the channel. Leave us questions, leave us comments. Let us know what you've thought about the preseason so far. Make sure you're subscribing via iTunes on Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or however you get your podcasts. We'll see you tomorrow.